We have to be positive this week. I'm being told we have to be positive. Although at the end of the last episode, we said we're going to talk about failures. So, and because we're not a failcon victimizing podcast or acting like victims, I guess we why don't we talk about things that we got through that helped us with sort of the messy middle stuff. I don't know. This is a hard topic to discuss,
No,
but
no,
there's
that's fine.
actually one.
I'll start. I'll start with something that has nothing to do with entrepreneurship, but that's the first thought that comes in mind, and this way you guys can think
Sure.
of, but I don't know why. I remember when I was a student, when I was in high school, and I'm sure that's going to bring back memory, but to me, the messy middle sometimes feels that way. And I remember for some reason, I can't remember what it was, if it was like a math exam. You know, you're like 15 and you have this math test. And I really failed at it, and I knew I failed at it, and I didn't get, I didn't know what if I would get an F or a C or whatever. And I was like, and I remember precisely, I was like 15 or 14, and I was like, if I don't succeed at this thing, my life is over. It sounds dramatic, but I felt that way. And of course, your life is not over. And of course, I don't even remember what this thing was about. And I feel like you have to remember that. Like every time you go through this time where you're like, oh my God, it's over. I'm never going to make it. And was it also, was it like, I forgot the actors, like the one who was playing in what's
Great
the one
movie.
with
Yeah.
the chocolate and shrimps? Jesus, Forrest Gump. What's his name?
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. Thank you. Tom Hanks was in a podcast and was talking about that, and he says, I think he was talking about time, and he says, you know what? You think it's the worst thing, and it's not. There's always going to be something better after. And then he says, and sometimes you think you're on top, and you know what? It's not. You're going to go down after because of something after. So anyway, so I'm going to start like that, but that's kind of where I want to say it's fine. We're in the middle. Of course, we talk negatively, but it's going to be okay.
I have actually the same story with the same thing, the math exam, or not exam. I was just 9 years old. And we did this.
We've been stressed in childhood.
Yeah, competition. And I thought of myself as someone good in math, but then this was like maximum 15 points and I got only 5. And I didn't want to tell my parents, like anyone. And I was like so stressed that this is end of the world for me, Can't pass this thing. It's so scary.
It must be like the engineering math side of you too, because I've always failed those math exams. So, and I always knew going in I wouldn't do well. And it wasn't until high school that I could kind of figure out how to do it. I think for me, I started getting that existential fear of like things not working out more in high school. Maybe that was because I was born prematurely and like I didn't develop fast enough. But there is that sensation, that feeling where you're like, look, if this doesn't work, like we're over. But the reality is it's not the case. And look, I don't even think we have to discuss maybe necessarily our particular failures and everything, because everybody has them.
It's also I don't remember most of them, and But
are you sweating there, Teddy? What's going on there with the?
It's kind of hot inside.
It's like, oh no, my failures.
Yeah, they're hunting me.
And also I was wondering, like, the reason I think about that, or we talk about that, is like the parallel between school and entrepreneurship. Do you feel like everybody feels judged? Like, do you have this feeling of being judged by your peers, or always judged all the time? And do you think that everybody else is the same? Like, do Elon feel judged? Doesn't care?
I think it's a cultural thing. I'm not sure how it is in other places. I think back in my hometown, that's
it's
how
Europe.
It works.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's Europe.
No, Americans definitely feel judged too, but I think Americans also can have a sociopathic element to it where they could go from like losing
everything's okay. And
like,
now I'm gonna do drug and die in my villa in LA or whatever. It's like
or whatever. They build
microdosing.
They build a $2 billion business. They're clearly a fraud, and then they're able to raise another $1 billion or something. But I think there is a feeling of judgment as well. And the best way to not judge is to basically not compare yourself, which is hard. I don't know. I mean, okay, we're supposed to be positive today, so positive elements of going through, sort of the
okay.
So let's get to some updates.
Sure.
Yeah.
So sure, I'll give my quick update. So electives, raise money, growing, team management. Like there's some shit, but I mean, I don't think I can share the number publicly, but I think we did 10x in like 3 months, roughly from whatever the base was. So that's pretty good. I gave a class about
you have $10.
$10. Yeah, exactly. And I gave a class on AI yesterday, but that was fun. It's been a while. I wanted to teach. I do that for fun, and when you teach, of course, you learn yourself a lot, and so I was good.
So this probably went better than the class that you're supposed to teach at the Sorbonne. Weren't you supposed to teach something there?
Oh yeah, but I forgot. But we said happy news today. So anyway, but again, that's true. But you're right. That was my reaction. I was like, fuck that. I'll do my own class. And by the way, the other one, which I'm testing, this idea of launching copycat, having 5,000 in things. Like I'm at my third meeting with a guy doing that, and it's doing well. So now he's going to launch the copycat of, I think, something like 6 a.m. city or something like that, newsletter. And it's going well, and he's happy. And so we're on track for his goal of making $2,000 a month and leaving his job. So these are my side things. It's like things I control, and I can be happy with that. And today I also met a guy I met on a panel here in Tallinn who's from Canada and who's like an AI expert. And I started to be like, hey, would you be open, to launch something, to do something? And he's open to it. So that's also pretty cool. Like I'm glad I found, a talent in the city to do some consolidating, and I'll update you more on that later, maybe offline, Teddy, but it's super excited.
Cool.
So good thing. Like what I mean is meeting new people, doing things that I succeed at, and happy stuff. And sorry, and I pitched, and I met my VC friend today, who was really funny because I told him about Electis, and he's like, you didn't tell me that, I would have invested. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Like I pitched you about the thing like 20 times, and I was like, yeah, but you didn't make it clear that was this pivot. And then and to finish, and then I pitched him 2 ideas, which I'm working on, and I'll talk about later. But he said, oh, I like these. These are good. So also feels good to start to have good feedback anyway. So.
But that's how VCs are. Like, you didn't pitch it to me properly, and you're like, well, your job is not for me to pitch it to you properly. Your job's to decide that if it's a good investment or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, that's funny.
What's up, Teddy? What's up with you? What's up?
Mostly work. Again, been in the zone for some time now, and I feel proud of myself because I was able to focus more, which I was struggling in the past, but now it's pretty good. I've been talking to some folks. There's one thing back home where there's sort of ecosystem conference type of thing where Frank will also participate in some shape and form, but I also sort of advise them, and then now I'm like part of the mentor groups. There will be a reality show down the road, so today I'm meeting one of the teams, so they're basically mentors and teams, and we're going to work together on their ideas with the goal to make them investment ready. Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Is it in English or is it?
I think there will be some teams where English will be the language, because it's not only limited to Macedonia but other places.
Teddy is a big star in Macedonia. I can see the trailer already. In a world full of challenges and technology,
I just want to help the local ecosystem. There's really great talent there, and I think if you lock yourself to the local ecosystem, you cannot really do much. But if you just open up to the rest of the world, perhaps consider US, I think it's a great opportunity for the people there. So looking forward to working with the team today and in the next few months. Then I've been sort of helping another person in the longevity/health tech space, and somehow this relationship now evolves to more hands-on involvement from my side. So I may be working on this project in January. So that's new from, I guess, last week. Yeah, pretty much.
Where is the longevity space located? The company.
It's not in the US, but it's like it's elsewhere. It's not in Macedonia. It's a big market, but it's not in the US yet.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Very cool. On my
How about you, Gabriel? Yeah.
It's like scary. You guys are asking me. I've just been taking a lot of meetings. I'm in New York. I have put together my 5-year plan, which is like my next year, which I'm titling, Year of No Fear. So I've been working on that. It's a lot of personal stuff. And just been talking, like I have a meeting today with my former chairman of the SPAC, and planning out first couple of weeks of travel for January. And looking forward to Iceland next week with you, Frank.
I love that. It's like, hey, let's go to Iceland. Big news: Iceland volcano exploding. Will the airport be open?
Is it safe to go there at all, or what's?
Yeah,
of course, it's safe. It's super safe.
It's fine.
I was supposed to go to Blue Lagoon, but I think now it's going to become Boiling Lagoon.
Did you buy those tickets yet, or no?
I did buy the tickets.
Oh my God, to the Blue Lagoon.
It's going to be red now. Let's see. I want to. No, I'm excited. It's okay. I mean, like they reimburse if there's nothing, but just so you can see. Actually, we can't see anything. Sorry, that's what it looks like live right now. So absolutely nothing.
That is a blank screen. That is definitely a blank screen that I just saw.
It's smoke. I think there's just smoke now. Oh wow, it must be smoke. Sorry. Okay. Anyway.
So yeah, and I'm in Manhattan. I flew on my first flew on my first helicopter ride yesterday, which is pretty fascinating.
Oh, how was it?
How was that?
Oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. So, I went from low to high to low, basically. Oh my God, that's incredible. That'll be us next week, dancing in that lava.
Yeah.
So I flew JetBlue up to JFK from Palm Beach and get off the plane. They're like, okay, your helicopter leaves at 12:40 p.m. They send me a text. A Maybach will pick you up outside the terminal. Be out there in the next 20 minutes. So get out of the plane. I see the Maybach pull up. I'm like, oh, wow. Get in. It's got massage seats. Drives me to the helicopter. And they said, sit here in the lounge for 10, 15 minutes and we'll be ready to go. They weighed my bags. There was only one other person in the helicopter with me. So cool. It took 4 minutes to fly from JFK to the west side. And then I've never been in a helicopter before. And a lot of people probably listening, if we have any listeners at all, have been in helicopters before. They're kind of like, it feels like you're on a boat, but there's no water. It's because the air it's such a different experience than a plane. And there was 2 or 3 times that I felt in my stomach, like my stomach was dropping from sort of the wind speed. But it took 4 minutes, got off, walked to walked to Hudson Yards, and then I took the subway home, which was like, that's why I said high. No,
you
low,
said positive.
high, low.
Did you feel like, have you watched Succession on HBO?
Yes.
Did you feel like that? You were playing it? I'm like, da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, cool. Nice.
It also made me feel like, okay, I need to start making real money again because it's not even that expensive to fly the helicopters. I got it for free because of my status, but it's only $150 if you have a discount. And if you don't have a bag, why not? So, and if you have a meeting in Hudson Yards and you can write it off to Electus, you should do it. No.
I'll expense it. No, of course not.
No,
but it feels good sometimes to do this thing, I guess, with, after years of eating pasta, it's nice to be like, I can fly helicopter.
It was amazing.
It was amazing.
But I think the way, you think about it in the messy middle is you also need to do some things like this during the messy middle and take advantage of it. But you don't have to, like, I did it for free because I have the status and I get 4 a year. And now it's like, okay, well, they expire at the end of the year and I only got the status last month. And I was like, okay, maybe I should book a flight to Florida going back, and I'll just take the helicopter there and then take a train to go somewhere else, cancel the flight. But I'm excited to be in the city, meeting a bunch of people, and having good conversations, but also really just lots
chilling.
Of people are chilling, yeah. But lots of people are also in this messy middle situation, And I think going back to our first point of like that experience of your first real concern if you're going to fail and you're going to make it or you're not going to make it, I think the reality is like life goes on, and we've gotten through 100% of our worst days so far. Like we haven't died yet. So
no, you're right. It's the messy season, and also the one thing that's positive is, and I guess so that's why we're doing these videos, is that people are not alone. Like you believe you're alone, and I think that's the big part that's depressing. But as soon as you realize you're not alone, then it becomes a land of opportunities. And there's so many people you can meet, you know, do these things, and it's I like that messy season.
The holiday season can be pretty like a double-edged sword, because if you haven't done anything and you're still in that messy middle, you feel like real failure, and then people talk about things they
especially
share
Christmas
with family
and all
members.
that.
That's tough. But I think it's nice time for anyone to just like kind of reflect and enjoy and like, you know, immerse into the season fully, and then think about stuff from 2nd of January and on. You know, just relax. Is that time of the year.
So how are you guys gonna relax? Like what are you gonna do to relax today?
I'll spend some more time on AI stuff. Yeah, I
Is
gotta read it.
Is that actually relaxing for you guys?
It is.
Yeah, for me it is. I enjoy like looking at code and just like reading.
To me, it's an up and down. Yeah. I spent like for this thing, I was really trying to get, you know, to connect to my mailbox and to my calendar to be able to read this thing, and I couldn't make it to work. We can talk about it today. Like Zapier was not working, nothing was working. But so I was like, I'm not gonna go to bed until this shit works. And like I went to bed at like 4 a.m. But at the end, I got it to work by connecting directly to OAuth and to calendar, whatever. But when it works, you feel so happy. You're like, oh, it's so nice, you know. So I totally get it. It's like,
I think it's the dopamine rush or whatever.
It's the dopamine of being like, it's like you have this puzzle or this Lego, and you hate it. It's not a happy process, but when you finish, it feels so good. It's like
and you're always chasing that finished working product sort of thing where it gives you the.
Yeah. And I think the worst thing you can do is not go to bed, because even though it looks crazy not to sleep until you solve it, if you try to sleep without solving it, like it's going to be really bad. You'll be like, then I should have tried that. I should have done this. You know, just at least for me, that's how it is. And so,
so I have insight into that from like doing decks and doing business models and having.
You do deck for relaxing. You're like, oh, I'm gonna.
No, it's true. I do. Like I did a bunch of research last week on Todd Bowley, who he's building like a mini Berkshire. And he bought Chelsea. He bought a portion of the Dodgers, and owns a bunch of things. Does a bunch of technology investments as well. Hedge fund guy. And I have like I have a deck now that I've done, which is 4 pages, which is how Todd Bowley was able to do what he was able to do. And I was like, oh my God, now I understand it. It's like, it's from a business guy point of view. I'm like, oh, that's how he did it.
Do you know him, or can you ask him?
I know his best friend growing up that built the private credit business for him, and they sold it to Carlyle for $900
All I mean is, it would be nice to see if you were right on that and be like, hey, this is what am I right on that, you know, just to.
Maybe I'll do that. I mean,
that's cool.
The guy who's his best friend basically said, look, why he became so successful is because the company that he was able to buy was an insurance company, and utilizing the assets from the business that he worked in before, they financed it. Insurance company gives him all the float, and they have to use the insurance company's investments to make a certain internal rate of return. And they figured out they can buy they can buy sports teams and invest in tech to get there.
Yeah, I admire people who do insurance business, because like the modelization has to be really, really good. If not, you're dead. Like, so you have to be very confident about your math.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's life insurance and annuities, right? So that's what I do. And it's the company they bought was like founded in like 1882 from some like immigrant, and he's like, yes, it was doing this, and we insured the guy on the farm, and then it grew from there. That's my fun stuff, which is weird because to most people that would be boring and foreign. And I think
guess it's a pattern. It's a pattern for founders. You know, what relaxes us is very different, I guess, from other people.
And being in New York, I like to walk by, you know, Andrew Carnegie's mansion up here. I like to go to the Frick. I like to go to the Met.
He was such an asshole, though. Frick.
Oh, horrible. Frick was horrible.
Isn't the guy who just destroyed the whole village, like with his dam or something? I can't remember. Just it was brutal.
I can imagine him doing something like that. Yeah.
Mm.
So we'll go to the JP Morgan library. That's fun
Oh, I
to
love
go
that
see
place. Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Have
So
you been there, Teddy?
Nope.
Have you
Where
watched
is it?
the show The
I
Man Who
love the
Built
show.
America?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Isn't that a sexist show? I feel like in this time now it should be the woman who built America. Would be a good counter show.
yeah. Yes. No comment. But
Oh,
I mean, I'm sure to be like 5 or 6. Who they would get like Harriet Tubman probably.
yeah. But anyway,
Um,
what I get from that show is that the 19th century was brutal. Oh, it's like we are not nice people, like at all. Like any argument would end up with like guns and shooting each other. Or it's like we're more civilized now. Yeah, it's
sort of,
Sort of,
sort
but
of.
it's still the same type of situations, just different actors. Like same thing is happening.
in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see Elon going with guns, against whoever he disagrees with, and vice versa. It's well, you know, Frick would definitely do that.
But Frick was the one who got shot. So, and then he got shot in his office, and then he shot the guy back, and he was
Yeah.
like back in commission. Like a week later, he was like, "It's fine, bullet won't kill me."
Oh, yeah.
So,
It's that's
yeah.
another way I relax. I need to do that, but I love video games. But you remind me, I want to replay Red Dead Redemption, because Red Dead Redemption kind of goes into that the West meets the Industrial Revolution, and I feel like that's kind of what it was. It was the time of cowboys meets the chief of industry in the 18.
But a lot of it was made up. I mean, not the game, it is, but like the actual idea of the Wild West was invented by Hollywood. It still was a
true.
very wild place, but it's like a John Wayne sort of creation.
Okay.
I don't know what else are we doing? Don't we have like a recap next week? We have to do Frank's, not a recap, but Frank's
We have
predictions.
Predictions.
Yeah. What do we believe the future will be? It's not mine, but all of us.
Okay. Well, you're
We're
going to
gonna
set the
have some
structure.
topics.
You're going to set the structure up, Frank.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, structure is easy. Is what do you think? Like, give me. Maybe the structure would be give me 3 things that are obviously going to happen in 2024 from your point of view, and 2 things that are your, wild bets that, you're not sure about, but that would be your bet of something no one else expect would happen.
I think it's good if you
3
have
and
some
2.
categories, like something divided into groups, and
Okay, if not, then we'll
structure.
do one in business and tech, one in geopolitics, and
Not an expert there.
Sure,
one in
that's
economy.
enough.
Sure,
Yeah, that's good. Well, you'll send us a note about that, Frank, because
I shall. I'll think about it.
you're pretty organized on those type of
Right.
things.
You don't like geopolitics or politics?
Oh, I like geopolitics and politics. Who said I didn't?
No, Teddy.
No, not that I don't like, but I don't have the right knowledge to talk on that.
No one does.
subject, I guess.
No worries about that.
No.
That's like knowledge is not helpful for this thing. It's
Oh, sure, we can do all sorts
it's
of
all about making bets. All right, cool.
making up things, making things up.
Yeah, I mean, based on everything that's going on in the world, it'd be a fascinating kind of
I
conversation.
like doing this thing because if we're wrong, we'll never talk about it again, and if we're right, we'll be like, look how precise we were about everything. I will just be like, getting the video again and again, like, look, we're so right. So
Yeah. And then sort of back to our theme of this idea of going through the failures and being positive. We clearly don't want to discuss our failures. But I think you forget of how they feel unless you really put yourself into that mode. And
I think you forget them. Like totally. I mean, I remember at one point I got an interview with Amazon, like when it was a low point when I was trying to look for if I needed a job or something like that. And the Amazon question was, can you tell us? Can you give us an example of when things didn't happen the way you planned them? And I couldn't give any answer because to me the question didn't make any sense. I was like, what are you talking about? What is that idea that you plan and things happen like the way you plan them? It's like I never had that.
Did you question them by saying that doesn't make any sense? I've never had that happen.
No, I mean, of course it makes sense, but I say I'm sorry. Like for the past 10 years of my life, I never had Like, I work in startup. Like, I think what I told, and I think it was the CEO of Amazon France, I said, have you ever done a startup? And so I guess that's why I didn't get the job, but I was like, such a
The guy
dumb
goes,
question.
oh yeah, oui, oui, Frank, no.
Anyway, Jeff would not have asked that question, I guess, or whatever.
No, but he's also not I mean, Jeff wouldn't be the CEO of Amazon France. Could you imagine having that job? Stressful.
So many strikes, so many
Get the yellow,
holidays.
you get the yellow jackets
So
from
many.
your office.
I know.
I, I, I don't remember a lot of my failures. Like
I think I forget about them. That's my process. I'm like,
Yeah.
failure? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Don't remember
Like-
any of it.
like, and then it kind of works out in a way where now that I look back on the things that didn't work, and I'm like, actually, they worked because I was able to sell Gamma, worked out. The SPAC, I was able to sell the SPAC, and now they've got, something happening there, something brewing. Can't talk about it because it's a public company.
It's also part of the brain. I don't know if you read that book. I talked about it, like stumbling upon happiness. And the book starts with people who say that was the best experience I've ever had, blah blah blah, and all of them were like a guy who was wrongly accused of murder who did like 20 years of jail for no reason. And the whole book is about how much the brain works in a way that even if you fail, it's still going to convince you that was a great thing. So I believe that's kind of how it is. Your failure becomes like, oh, I'm where I am because of that, and so it's fine. At the end of the day, we're designed to survive.
Yeah.
Great book.
And I think if people listen to The Messy Middle, listen to us, versus maybe some other podcasts or events like FailCon,
still exist.
No, I don't think it exists. But if you go on YouTube, you
did
can watch.
FailCon fail? That's funny.
I think people just got. I think people just got rid of it because it's enough. Like my grudge and gripe that I have towards people who discuss the failures and like examples is like I can open up a book and it's the same 5 stories. You go, Walt Disney failed and started again. Henry Ford failed and started again. And then they'll be like, and J.K. Rowling was rejected from 9 of, and you're like, okay. You're like, is there anybody else? Oprah, and and I'm kind of like, well, don't talk about Elon because Elon has only succeeded. So,
by the way, you're right. I mean, it's something you learn about. But when you're in your 20s and you never experience failure, it hurts the first time. It's like being in love and breaking up. But it's true that there's no other way to learn. Like it's part of a journey. It's the most important part is the journey anyway. But it's true. Like you're 20 and you're like, I don't care. I will never fail. And it's and it hurts. It hurts when it happens.
Yeah, and it doesn't stop hurting.
But it's the only way that makes you a good, a strong founder or whatever. Like it's how you deal with it, and you have to deal with it with a smile.
Yeah. Gotta be unrealistically optimistic about things. That's like a founder trait, I guess.
Yeah, but sometimes
delusional to some extent.
You have to be unrealistically optimistic, but you also have to be honest too. I think at some point, and honest with yourself. Like I'm sure we've all been in a room with somebody who's unrealistically optimistic, and they're delusional. But like.
No, that's a good point. I forgot if I quote that book before, but I really liked it. Like Chance and Intent. When the thing they did, they studied the risk, the level of risk of founders versus the average population in 7 different studies, and all of them says it's the same level of risk. And so, someone who's delusional it's a mental illness. Founders are not delusional. They are equally as scary as someone of anyone else. It's just the vision. You see something no one else sees. But yeah, you have people who are delusional, and it's sad, and there's nothing you can do to help them.
I remember I used to go to this mobile payments conference, and there was this payments guy who had a platform. I think he was calling it like the gold platform. And every conference I would see him at, and he had like a booth. It's him and one other person, and like the most, I don't know, basic setup. Still running the company today, doesn't make any money, and I'm like, how does this? Like, why don't they stop? Why don't they? And maybe one day, I don't know. Maybe one day this will be the guy that Elon
Exactly, and it
buys
was
to
like,
run
and
his
it was like,
business.
that was the guy who was like, never give up. And after 30 years of doing that, then it's like big success. You never know. That's fine. So maybe you're right. Maybe delusional is fine.
I don't
mean,
know.
there's fine line. You get to that delusional point.
I guess
but
you're
then you have
delusional
the
until you succeed.
Silent confidence. It's important thing. You may come up as delusional, but you may be certain in some things that you sort of need to test out a little bit more. But then for the outside world, it doesn't look like that. So you may come up as delusional. You gotta be optimistic. You gotta turn off the negativity in terms of
Totally.
like ignoring some of the stuff that may not work out. Because if you consider everything, there's only one way things will work out and multiple ways they will fail. So if you just consider all of those failures, you won't even do anything. You will be blocked.
Yeah. That's why I think domain experts have a hard time innovating, or PhDs, because they tend to really think about everything that can go wrong, and they will find a lot of things.
Yeah.
But if you go in a field you have no idea about, it's like the classic ones like Airbnb, Uber, or even the CEO of Nvidia, and you don't know everything that could go wrong, and so you're like, let's do it. But I think when you see a mountain of things that could go wrong, even if you can address it one by one, it's just too depressing.
I can tell you, when I was thinking about doing this, the best advice that I got was, it's a mountain, and all we need to do is not look at the mountain top. Let's just look at let's just look right in front of us.
Yeah.
1 foot in front of us, because it is going to be a blizzard. It's going to be freezing. One of the days the ice is going to melt and it's great, and then the blizzard is going to come back. And if I told myself like what I had to endure through that whole process, and that I wouldn't have made any money on the other side yet, I probably would have never embarked upon it.
Of course.
So I think.
And the same with Alexis. I mean, like talking about success and failure, the same thing. Like when I started this thing, I had no idea it would be 4 years of work. Jesus. Yeah. But that's fine. Now I'm happy with it. But I would not have signed up for that.
I had somebody reach out in that post-exit founders group, mention that they've got an e-voting startup that they're looking at investing in. So
okay.
Yeah. What's up?
Sorry.
Was that? Oh.
No, I remember you sent me an intro. I need to follow up with it. I'll just need to do that. That's what I meant.
I thought it was something like Hermes came by to say hello or something. By the way, our mascot of the messy middle is Hermes.
I can bring him.
Julia's dog. Yeah, can we see Hermes? There's a holiday spirit.
You guys keep talking. I need a minute.
We also need an intro, by the way, like a
jingle,
like musical thing for like New Year. Yeah.
We're gonna make one of those on AI.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna generate tunes.
Oh my gosh! Here we are. We got Hermes.
There you go.
Hermes is an author, right? Has its own book.
Yeah, he's an author. He's an entrepreneur. He's a superstar. Yeah. Okay, let's get this show finished, Frank. This episode.
I have a quote to share before we wrap it up.
Yes, Teddy's got the quote.
I'm gonna put out a link to
his old
Hermes' Instagram profile.
That should be like our thumbnail for the episode.
That'd be funny.
If we were a higher budget podcast, we'd be able to edit all the graphics into it, and we'd be able to edit, Hermes's.
We can do it with AI. It will take 10 seconds. We'll I don't know. Teddy will do that to relax.
Okay, what's our quote? Let's get this done.
Yeah. So I wrote down this one. If you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. And this is quote by Marcus Aurelius. I think goes back to our topic of failures and perception of things, and you actually have the power to sort of ignore these things and just ignore the stress to a certain extent where it's possible, and get out and focus on the positivity of the situation, and again I
know it's possible, but I've never been able to achieve that. I wish I could. Can you?
Yeah, I think it's a training. You gotta practice it a couple times, and then it
I'll try
starts
more.
to work. Meditation helps also in that sense.
I've gotten better with it,
Hmm.
but I also have difficulties with it. And I also have difficulties of reading Marcus Aurelius. And it's so dense, some of his writing. And my
It is
mom
dense.
picked it up. My mom picked it up and she goes, "This is great. I'm almost done with it." And I'm like, "Really?" It's like, "Really?" I mean, I have Seneca here too. It's like, and I'm on
Yeah.
page 23, and I had it for 5 years.
I think that the main point is that you feel like you don't have the power to kind of step out of a situation, but I think that main thing is you are not reminded of it. If you just think of stepping out, you will be able to do it. The problem is that when you are into something, it's really hard to even think of the possibility of stepping out or zooming out. It's not that complicated once you realize that you have that as a possibility to just zoom out.
Yeah,
And we lost Frank.
We lost Frank. I was like, where the hell did Frank
No,
go?
I was trying to find my next book. I haven't read it. I don't know if you read this one.
No, we really want to read it.
Yeah.
It's so funny we lost Frank. So this is our first messy middle where we've lost Frank twice. So there we go. Yes,
Sorry.
perfect.
Nice.
Awesome. So we've got our
It's
recaps. We have our predictions for the next year, next week. Everybody wants us to get this done on time today because we went over last week.
We're gonna tell you which stock to buy, what to sell.
And we'll say this is not investment advice.
Yeah,
like all the crypto guys, of course not.
Yeah.
When they say that just means it is.
You have to buy. We're excited to launch Hermes coin, H coin. Okay.
So on that note, we will have
Judge
another mascot.
Our other mascot.
Wow. Where do you get that?
Oh, my mom got it. So
wow, that's pretty cool.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Judge Ginsburg, says this podcast is over.
Oh,